The Sixers say they're not trying to duck the Celtics, but they were trying to duck the Celtics. Plus, Drew Hanlon wants to turn Jayson Tatum into the nicest a-hole. We'll explain right now on the Lockdown Celtics podcast.
Thanks to Blockbuster brand, it's holiday season. Drop Drew in the mix. And 3 from KP, no, we not on the Knicks. Flushing competition like Al on Giannis. Juice and Big Juice, still Bean Town's finest. Banner 18 going up in the rafters. Watch the C's game in locked on after. Karalis on the breakdown. Clutch like a tip from D. White on the breakdown. John on the mic, documenting domination. Matter pen a back bay, it's all C's nation. Rain and J's, how it started, raising banners, how we finish. Locked on Celtics pod, home of the winners. Peace.
Hey there, welcome back to the Lockdown Celtics podcast right here on the Lockdown Podcast Network, where it's your team every day, and I got you covered every Monday through Friday with a free, fresh podcast that drops directly to your device, so make sure you are subscribed wherever you get your podcast. Watch the show on YouTube, get into the comment section, let me know what you think about the show, what I'm saying, anything. So, yeah, subscribe. If you're new to the show, I'm John Karalis. I used to play a long time ago. Now I'm covering the Celtics for Boston Sports Journal. And later on today, we'll talk about Drew Hanlon's conversation about Jayson Tatum and what he's trying to turn Jayson Tatum into. But we're going to start with Paul Reed talking about the Celtics and the Knicks and what they did and didn't want. Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed. That's $150, win or lose. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. Let's bring in our boy, Tom Westerholm. What's going on, Tom? Yeah, just enjoying a nice day, nice Thursday night.
Yeah,
doing a little podcasting, a little show, a little basketball chat between.
Listen, man, we need some hoops back on TV. Like I like some other doing some hoodie stuff here.
Hoodie.
Yeah.
Adjusting.
We need hoops back on TV.
We definitely need it. Yes.
Like I big Premier League guy. I've gotten really into the Premier League. I like baseball a lot. I'll watch baseball happily. But like tonight on ESPN, it was just like end of the regular season hockey, and I was just we got it. The first round can't be here soon enough. I know. No, I'm sorry, no the Seattle Kraken. I can't watch you.
Yeah, we're sitting here. We're waiting for Friday night. Chicago and Miami. Jimmy Butler's out for like a couple of weeks. Like this is at least multiple weeks. Or beyond. Giannis Antetokounmpo out for a couple of weeks. At least 2 to 4 weeks now.
Yeah,
I will say the path. We kind of mentioned it yesterday, but like the path for the Celtics. You need luck to win a championship. And I don't know how it's going to go, but the luck so far has gone Boston's way leading into the playoffs. So
yeah. I mean, it also just like what a terrible way for the playoffs to start if you're the NBA, right? Like last year's finalist, best player on their team, out for a while, a genuine MVP candidate, one of the best players in the NBA, out for a while. Just, I mean,
wait, Luke Cornett's out for a while. What's going on?
Yeah.
Oh,
you didn't hear?
I missed that.
It's
tough,
I missed man. That. Like it's just brutal way for the what a way to ring in the playoffs. Like,
yeah, I mean, it would
promos
suck.
are going to look a little different.
Yeah, from the NBA perspective, if you lose Jimmy Butler, if you lose Miami right away, if you lose Giannis in the first round, again, I mean, I guess all you have to lean on is the legacy Boston Celtics and their worldwide fandom to carry you through. Oh no.
What you're really doing is leaning on the legacy Boston Celtics and also the Western Conference. Thank you to the Western Conference for being the Western Conference.
Yeah. And what also sucks for the NBA is that big markets are playing each other. Philly and New York end up on not only the same side of the bracket, but in the opening round game. So it was either gonna be Philly and Boston and Philly and New York. So that's just Philly had just fallen to a point. But like that's bad luck for the NBA because you want to have all three of those markets playing separately and hopefully advancing so you can get big major markets. And
yeah, you wanted to play each other eventually.
Eventually, but not right away. So, and it's interesting, we talk about Sixers ducking the Celtics. So Paul Reed was on a podcast and they asked him about like, oh, you get to play the Knicks and avoid the Celtics. And he said, basically, we ain't ducking no smoke, but yeah, the Knicks were the easier matchup. So I'm sitting here like, well, you can say you ain't ducking no smoke all you want, but when you say that and we're like, oh, but also, yes, we're happy to be playing the Knicks, then it sounds like to me like you're ducking the smoke a little bit. Like you might not have been like, okay, we have to avoid the Celtics, but you're also like, what's the, maybe you didn't duck it, but you avoided the smoke and you're okay with avoiding the smoke.
You stopped, dropped, and rolled right under the smoke. No, I think counterpoint, I think he's creating smoke because like, he didn't have to go on that podcast and say all that about the Knicks. Like, like you could just roll out onto this podcast, give a bunch of platitudes, and just everybody can just kind of, again, understand what is, what everybody knows. It's like, yeah, of course you don't want to play the better team, the team that's, 15 games ahead of everybody else in the standings. Like, yeah, you don't want to play them in the first round. Like everybody kind of knows that. You don't really need to say that. And then in doing so, be like, hey, Knicks, hey, Jalen Brunson, Josh Hart, you guys don't seem like you take anything personally. I'm going to just hand you this this bulletin board quote. Here you go. Have this.
For a New York Knicks team that feeds off of that stuff, that loves that stuff. You've already got Jalen Brunson, who's like living off of it really is the closest thing that we've seen since the Isaiah Thomas Celtics days. I mean, he's just living off of that hate, and he's a small guard having an all NBA season. He was good, but like this is an incredible season. And I don't know how much longer this magic is going to last. Maybe it goes another season 2, or maybe it goes longer. But regardless, giving the Knicks the bulletin board material, like the Celtics don't need the bulletin board material. There is a world where the Sixers do advance, like we talked about it yesterday.
Yeah,
the Celtics and Sixers, it's not out of the question to say, yeah, they could beat the Knicks because the Knicks are, shorthanded, and there's Embiid is Embiid, and if there's enough rest where he could kind of show out and they could win the series. And Cleveland and Orlando, sure, Philly against either of those teams is winnable. And then here you are, Celtics, Sixers, and it's like, oh, then I guess then there is bulletin board material there. It's like, oh, you guys tried to duck us? Like, no, I specifically said we didn't try to duck you. Yeah, whatever. You ducked us, and here we are. Now it's time to whatever. But first things first, the Knicks are not going to take too kindly to Paul Reed kind of like, what are these guys doing? What are you doing? What are you doing out there? Like saying, like, you're right. You don't have to do the podcast. But I say that as a person who would love to have the players on the podcast and say
absolutely.
Like that,
do the podcast. I mean, like I'm with it. Like, yeah, be a smoke machine. Like, just create smoke everywhere. Like, this is great. Like, it's Thursday night. There hasn't been hoops in a couple nights, and we got something, gives us a little something to talk about. But yeah, I guess from a rational perspective, I'm just not sure why. Like, why did you do any of this? So shout out to B-Ball Paul.
B-Ball Paul going out there and creating smoke machine. I like that. I like that as a nickname for somebody. Maybe it's not this, maybe it's not him, but somebody out there who wants the smoke, creates the smoke, actually, like, legitimately creates the smoke, not like Draymond Green.
Right.
You know what I mean? Somebody out there is going to be the smoke machine. I don't know who it would be, but
I'm gonna give it some thought over this break and see if I can come up with somebody.
Yeah, I think all of the people that I might mention, I feel like it's more performative. Yeah. And I don't think that's that might be more smoke and mirrors than smoke machine. So, well, actually, kind of okay. All right. On that note, let's get into Drew Hanlon, Jayson Tatum's trainer, talking a little bit about the kind of player he wants to turn Jayson Tatum into, including being a what was the phrase?
Jerk.
A jerk. The nicest a-hole. Probably the last time I should say that on this podcast. We'll talk about it coming up next. Today's show is brought to you by Yahoo Finance. You've got a lot of different investments out there. Your 401k, you've got an investment account somewhere maybe. You can go on to Yahoo Finance. You can consolidate all your views from multiple accounts into one hub, access the expert analysis you need to tend to your entire portfolio with confidence. For more than 25 years, Yahoo Finance has been the brand behind every great investor. Whether you're a seasoned investor or looking for extra guidance, Yahoo Finance gives you all the tools and data you need in one place. They are the #1 finance destination, producing a holistic look at the financial news cycle, including breaking news, original editorial perspectives, analysis or analyst ratings, independent research, customizable charts, and so much more. Securely link your brokerage accounts for a unified view of your wealth, including 401ks and other investments. A comprehensive perspective is what sets apart great investors. You got to know what your money is doing, and it's how Yahoo Finance ensures that you have the insight to look at your wealth in its entirety. With a community of over 90 million users each month, their real strength is helping you on your way to financial success. For comprehensive financial news and analysis, visit the brand behind every great investor, yahoofinance.com, the #1 financial destination, yahoofinance.com. That's yahoofinance.com. Today's show is also brought to you by FanDuel. It's playoff time here in the NBA, the NHL, and baseball obviously is now in full swing, and FanDuel is your place to bet on every game. That's how the sentence is supposed to go. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets guaranteed, win or lose, $150 in bonus bets, so you can bet on everything: hockey, baseball, basketball, anything you want, parlays, in-game parlays. It's all on an app that is safe, secure, and easy to use. So I don't know what you're waiting for. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to make your first bet an automatic win. Use the tools that are available on FanDuel. Set your limits, set your budget. Make sure you're gambling responsibly and have fun with it. That's the most important thing. Don't go overboard. Have fun with it at FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Thanks for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. Go head over to Locked On Sports today. Free streaming on YouTube 24/7. It's all the biggest stories, all the local experts from the Locked On Podcast Network. Real talk, real analysis, real arguments, not fake ones like you see on some other networks. Locked On Sports today, streaming on YouTube. It's also on the Amazon Fire TV Channels app. It's part of the Locked On Podcast Network, which is your team every day. Drew Hanlon was on, gave an interview to Sportskeeda, and a wide-ranging interview about Jayson Tatum and some of the things that they've been trying to do. In essence, saying he'd like Jayson Tatum to become a jerk. He wants him to be on the court a jerk. I like the way you put that, Tom. Meanie. Yeah. Big meanie, like grr, but off the court, nice. Very hockey player-ish. Hockey players are the most polite people, but on the court, they just want to rip your face off. Yeah. Kind of wants Jayson Tatum to be that guy, which I think is exactly kind of like the sweet spot. Once you get on the floor, it's almost like being an actor. You get on the floor and you get to channel all of your rage and your inner, jerkness and your inner, all of that. Like, you just get to put it all out there on the floor. You need, if you're going to be that guy, and for a guy who idolized Kobe so much, he doesn't have the one thing he doesn't have is that like mean streak that Kobe had. I saw a video of USA versus Spain that just kind of started making the rounds. And Kobe was like, that's when Pau Gasol was on his team, and USA is playing Spain. And he says, first possession, I know what they're going to run. I'm going to run straight through Pau Gasol. I'm going to run straight through him. And they played the clip. Pau goes to set the screen, and Kobe just plows. I mean, really lowers the shoulder and goes right through him. Now, that is mean. That is not like that, borderline like unsportsmanlike. But damn it if he didn't set the tone, and damn it if he didn't have all of his teammates going, oh, okay, that's how it's going to be. Like, it's interesting to see if he can get Jayson to kind of get anywhere to that level.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, I think that style of play certainly suits Tatum, right? I mean, when you're physically gifted the way that Tatum is, like if you have a mentality of, I'm going to go through you, that benefits you a lot at 6'9" and whatever he was last year plus 12 pounds of muscle, right? Like he's at a physical advantage over anybody he faces, or over most people he faces, and that's so that style of play certainly benefits him. I think there's something about it. It's a tough sell to me to imagine Tatum getting too close to that Kobe level. Like obviously he admires Kobe's, everything, right? Like, that's who he's modeled his game after, all that stuff. He's a little too like, I mean, like, and maybe this is the off the court stuff. After every game, right? He's like, dapping everybody up, greeting everybody, like, very polite to everyone. It seems like,
yeah.
Seems like a pretty nice guy to his peers.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Maybe that's what Drew Hanlon is trying to say here is, dap everybody up after you're done. Just
destroying them.
Yeah, exactly.
It's hard to change a person's personality.
Yeah.
And not everybody can be like that. Like Kawhi Leonard won a championship and MVPs, and like he's not like that. Like he's not mean or mean-spirited. There's Jordan was, Kobe was, Bill Russell was, and their guys.
LeBron's not,
LeBron's not, like, yeah, guys like that. Like Kevin Durant isn't, I don't think. Like he's not that type of guy. And so Jayson Tatum isn't, and I don't know if he's ever going to be. I think pulling something like that out of somebody is difficult. I do agree that it's an element of the game that he could use, because I think having a place to go to find that and play through people is an element of the game that still eludes Tatum for all of his success. I think he still wants to avoid a lot of the contact versus play through a lot of the contact. And it's why I keep saying that, I might be critical of Tatum. Never mind. I was going to go a different road, but all I'm going to say is when you criticize somebody, it's because you think they can do more. And I do think that Tatum, for all of his success, is capable of actually a fair amount more.
Yeah. And I think there's an interesting element to that too, right? Because it's like you talk about the mean-spiritedness of like Kobe, right? Like running through Pau Gasol is like, that's just being mean. Like that's not like, I mean, it's something that you pull out of yourself, right? But like Pau Gasol was like a pretty nice guy and like a good friend, and Kobe's just running right through him. Like it's like, all right, man. Like if you and I were playing pickup ball and like you were on the other team and I just like ran right through you, you'd be like, all right, dog. Like what are we doing here? But like but that's who Kobe was. He went to that place on the court. That's who Jordan was. He went to that place on the court. But I think it's also beneficial for you if you don't have that, it is beneficial to find something that you can pull out, right? Like if you've got like, LeBron has always cared about, kind of the narrative around himself. That's not the mean-spirited thing that you pull out, but it is something that you kind of go to. Steph Curry, right? he's not, he's not like mean and looking for contact and all that, but he's going to dance on you. He's going to like, he's got a little something that he's, he's like going to, that he's going to pull out. And then like, I think there's benefit to that for sure. It's something I think that honestly, you talked about KD. It's something I think KD has kind of lacked. He's always been kind of a perfect basketball player built in a lab, but like, he won his championships in Golden State. He didn't win his championships anywhere else. Like I think that there's something to a lot of the great players where that's related to being mean-spirited. But it's kind of to your point. It's more about just like the place that you go to and that you, I don't know, draw inspiration from in some way.
It is. Yeah. I wonder if it's a necessary thing to make him an MVP. Although, like, I think you either have one of two things. You're either a savant like Jokic,
right?
Or I keep saying Luka, but Luka's like a savant. Like he really is. The example I keep using is the prodigy who learned to play piano by ear as a child versus the kid who goes to the Boston Conservatory or, Berkeley School of Music and comes out of it as a classically trained pianist. And they both can play something beautiful in front of a crowd of 20,000 people. And it can look and sound similar, but there's something about the guy who played by ear that there's a flourish. There's a little something extra versus the kind of textbook lack of creativity that goes with the other one. Like one is they're both great, but one has a thing that makes you go like, oh, that person's just like, wow, meant to be this player. And the other one is built to be this player. And there's the difference. We'll react to that in just a second. Today's show is brought to you by LinkedIn Jobs. You are a small business owner and you're trying to hire somebody. I have been in the position of trying to hire somebody. I grew up in small businesses. I know how hard it is because you're doing a bunch of things and you don't have time to hire. That's why LinkedIn Jobs is where you need to go because they have the tools to help find the right professionals for your team. It's faster and for free. It's not just a job board to help you hire professionals that you can't find anywhere else, because over 70% of LinkedIn users don't visit other leading job sites. So you're going to find people who aren't even actively searching for a new job, but might be just open to a perfect role. That's a key element here because you are looking for somebody who's searching. If you have access to people who are open to a job and maybe not looking on other sites, now you've got a whole new pool of candidates. So if you're not looking on LinkedIn, you're looking in the wrong place. 86% of small businesses get qualified candidates within 24 hours. You can hire professionals like a professional on LinkedIn. So you can go where 2.5 million small businesses are going at LinkedIn Jobs. They use LinkedIn Jobs for hiring, and they have tools to help you write better job descriptions. They make the process faster and easier. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA. LinkedIn.com/LockedOnNBA to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. All right, Tom. So I laid out all that stuff. Looked like I jumped in right before you were going to say something.
No, I mean, I think there's a lot to that, right? Like, I think, I think the piano player who has it naturally captures your attention in certain ways, right? And I think that you see that, in various guys around the league. Like, I think Kyrie, sorry, Celtics fans, but like,
he captures. We
captures.
got to be able to mention Kyrie without having people like
right
throw up.
he captures your attention the way that he plays basketball, because it is this kind of flowy and creative and seamless, like natural type thing. But yeah, I mean, I think I guess more. I'm just gonna, yeah, I agree with your point. Like there's guys who are just savants. Like Jokic is another guy where you just watch him and you're like, man, that dude just has it. Like there's just something beautiful about the way he plays the game.
There's a clip out there. It's John Batiste who is being interviewed, and he's being interviewed in front of a piano, and he's being asked about like playing a classical he plays like something like Beethoven's Fifth or whatever, and he's playing it, and then he starts going into, well, this is how it would sound like if it was gospel, and this is jazz, and this is and just in the middle of it, he just starts with the flourishes, and you're like, that dude, go look at that clip, find that clip, Google it. You'll know exactly what I'm talking about. That dude's playing the piano, and you're like, he was never in life ever going to do anything besides play music. That's exactly what he was always going to do. But look, I do think there's a level for Tatum to reach. And this is a good thing to talk about now, because there's a level for him to reach right now in the playoffs.
Yeah.
This is an important time for him where you have to find a balance. And I'm the most confident person in the world, I think, when it comes to the Celtics' chances. But you don't know what's going to happen. To the point that we were making about, Joe Mazzulla saying each series is going to be its own thing and you have to give it what it needs and all of that stuff. That is all 100% true, because you don't know. First of all, you don't even know who you're going to face. You don't know who's going to get hurt. You don't know how it's going to go. You don't know who's going to go full Caleb Martin. It might even be Caleb Martin.
You never know.
And at some point, the ball's going to be in Tatum's hands, and he's going to need to do stuff. And he has done it in the past, right? Game 6 against the Sixers last year, he was horrible. And then all of a sudden, 16 points in the fourth quarter. And then he drops a 50-piece in Game 7. So he's come through in big moments. What he hasn't done is consistently be like, oh, crap, Tatum has the ball in his hands. Something big is going to happen. And I keep going to Luka, but whenever Luka, you're down 2 and Luka has the ball going to his left above the break, heading to that hash mark, everybody, the shot. Celtics fans know the shot that I'm talking about. You're like, oh, crap, we're going to lose. Like, that happens too many times. And Tatum, I believe, is capable of reaching inevitability. And he's not inevitable right now. He's capable right now. He's capable of a lot. And I don't know that it's too much to ask that he tries to tap into something that makes him inevitable, because at some point they're going to need him to be. And maybe it's not even this season. Maybe it's not even next season. But at some point, when the second apron starts eating away at who the Celtics have, Tatum is going to have to become inevitable for the Celtics. And I would love to see him take that one next great leap, because he's already an all NBA guy right now, but he's not at the top of the MVP list. And I don't think he can get there until he gets that next step of inevitability.
Yeah. And I think, you look at the team that's around him. To your point, it might not have to be this year, right? Like there's enough other stuff on this Celtics team to where if Tatum has an ill-timed 18 points on 19 shots game during the playoffs, the Celtics could still potentially win that game. But I think it's a strong point. Like this, it's gonna have to happen eventually. And that's who it's going to have to happen eventually, because that's who he's striving to be, right? Like he wants to be great. He's always wanted to be that. He's always kind of had his I guess, kind of eye on that as part of his legacy. So Yeah, I mean, eventually, like at some point, the Celtics are not going to be able to employ a team of the caliber of Jaylen Brown, Kristaps Porzingis, Derek White, Drew Holiday.
Right.
Like it's not sustainable. On purpose, the NBA did that on purpose.
Right. And
yeah.
and look, I'll even say this. If Tatum was the player, that level of player, they wouldn't have had to go get Porzingis.
Yeah.
They wouldn't have had to go get. And now Tatum has been great and is, I think, capable of a lot. I think he's capable of a lot more. And I think he's at a very, very high level. He's one of the top 10 players in the league right now. Right? That's a pretty high, like it's
no question.
He's pretty amazing. Like he's amazing at the game of basketball. And so I don't want to make it seem like I don't think he's good at he's amazing at the game of basketball. I just think there's more. I think there's more. And I think it's a compliment that he's at this point. And I think that there is more. So I think I think it's a mental thing. And I think Hanlon's actually on the right path. I think Hanlon's on the right path of like trying to tap into that, because the other stuff will come with, if you have that mentally inside of you, and maybe he hasn't needed to do it because he has Jaylen Brown, right? He has, all of these he has other, like, they don't need him to be like, and I don't want him to be like, I'm going to go and do that now. Right. But if the other team is switching everything and he's isolating, I need him to be inevitable. Right. I need him to be, hey, if the other team's going to say, all right, Tatum, it's on you. We're taking away all your other options. It's you against our best defender. It needs to be like, oh, well, you are screwed because here comes a 15-point fourth quarter. Yeah. And there's nothing you can do about it. And
that's probably going to happen at some point in the playoffs. Because, like, the Celtics' best strength to this point has been their team, right? Has been their, drive and kick and, kick the ball again and swing the ball around. That's been their best thing. So yeah, we're gonna see. It'll be it's gonna be a fun run.
It will be fun. All right, this podcast was fun, and time to say goodbye to Tom Westerholm. Goodbye and good night.
Yes, sir.
All right. Thanks to you. Thanks to everybody. I hope you enjoyed this podcast. And next time we talk, it'll be about the Celtics and their first round matchup. We're waiting to see. Friday night's the night where we find out. I'll see if I can do no promises here because of everybody's schedule, but we'll see if we can do a crossover with either Locked On Heat or Locked On Bulls on Saturday to try to give you something previewing the series. We'll try to do that on Saturday. It's an early game on Sunday, so make sure you are up early and subscribed. If you're in the Boston area, I will be on the Channel 5 WCVB, I think, pre and post game shows. So make sure you're tuned into that. Get the early pregame there. And I'm obviously going to be doing the podcast right after the game. So subscribe, get my thoughts there. Whatever podcasting app, get onto that YouTube page. And I would love it if you share the podcast, spread the word, tell everybody they should be listening to and watching the Locked On Celtics podcast here on the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day.